Hi, boys and girls. So, in writing today, we are adding another piece to our story. So, let me kind of walk us back through since we're doing something kind of new and kind of confusing. So, first, we thought of a story that really happened to us, right? I decided to use the time that I found a lost dog and I got reward money. That story really happened to me, but I'm going to turn it into a fiction story. So, I'm doing that by maybe making up a character and a setting, and we did those two things already. So here's my story, and then I've got some character ideas: an old truck, a little girl, or an owl. And then I also picked a setting that could match my character. So, but I don't have those on my poster. Let me add those here so you can see them. Okay. So if I picked the old truck, my setting was a city. And if I picked the little girl, my setting was a campground. Okay, and if I picked the owl as my character, the setting was the woods. Okay, now I feel like to help you understand what I'm doing, I need to actually tell you the whole story of what really happened to me. Okay, so the story of the lost dog. I was at my lake house and it was a stormy night, and it was raining really, really hard. And all of a sudden, the owner of the campground came around and told us that there was a tornado coming and that we needed to take shelter. So we rode our golf cart to the basement of the clubhouse where we all had to stay. And it was dark, there was not a bathroom, and we were down there for several hours while the storm was passing. Well, while we were in there taking cover from the storm, a lady, like everybody in the campground was in the same area with us. There were a lot of people. This lady announced that she had lost her dog right before the storm, like the storm had spooked her and she'd run away, and the dog's name was Lola. And she was frantic. She was super worried about her dog in this storm because there was flooding, there was winds and a lot of rain, and she was really, really worried about her dog. So she announced to everybody that if anybody could find her dog, and she described that it had a Royals collar on, like the Kansas City Royals baseball team, that if anybody could find her dog, she would give them $100 reward. Okay? Well, then the next morning after the storm, we were back at our camper and we were just doing our regular stuff, going out on the boat and everything. We decided to take our car for a drive to the town nearby to get pizza for lunch. So we were driving in our car right outside the campground, and we see this dog who really looks awful. I mean, hair matted, soaking wet, dirty, covered with sticks and leaves, walking out of the woods. And we go, oh, I think that's Lola. And sure enough, we looked and it had the collar that the lady described. So we stopped and we got Lola in the back of my car and we drove her to this lady. She gave us $100. And so it paid for our pizza and we went shopping also. Now, that is my story. So I picked a story that really happened to me. Okay. Well, then I came up with some characters. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead right now and I am going to completely nail down a character and a setting before I can go on to the next step, okay? I kind of like the idea of the owl and the woods. Okay, so here we go. I'm making my plan for my story. This story is going to be a lost dog and somebody getting a reward, okay? I haven't quite decided how an owl is going to get a reward yet, but I'll figure that out. But so I'm changing it. Instead of me being the person that this happened to, it's going to be about an owl. And there's still going to be a storm, but the owl is going to hear a lady worried about her dog because she's going to see it. And she's going to fly all through the woods and find the dog, I've decided, okay? Because the woods is the setting. Now, my story has a problem in it already. The dog gets lost, right? That's the problem, okay? All good stories have a problem and a solution. So you need to make sure that your story has a problem. If it's a story that already happened to you, it probably does have a problem. If it doesn't, you need to figure out what problem your story could have. Okay, like if it's just a story about, a time you went to the zoo and nothing bad happened, we need to probably create a problem and put it in there. Okay, like maybe the car broke down. Maybe your little brother got lost. Maybe the monkeys got out. Okay, you need to create a problem in your story if there already isn't one. So here's the deal. I have my main story idea. I have chosen a character. I have chosen a setting. My problem is the dog gets lost. Okay? Tomorrow we are going to make sure that we have a solution, and we're going to plan out our story and actually and get that kind of going. Okay? So I know this is kind of confusing because we're taking a story that really happened to us and we're turning it into a fiction story. But that's what real writers do. Sometimes they write stories about their real life. Sometimes they write stories about things that happened to them, but they change them a little bit. Or maybe they saw that a story happened to somebody else and they changed it a little bit. Okay?